Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about the top 5 ways to help men. But before I get into it, let me just remind everybody to go ahead and hit the subscribe button and go ahead and hit the like button. It'll help me grow my channel, and I would really appreciate it. Now, let's talk about the top 5 ways to help men. Because in this day and age, men are under attack on all levels, and they're actually conditioned through negative conditioning and negative reinforcement to adopt the attitude of a sacrificial animal right from the start. So, number 5, reminding men to not seek validation externally. I don't think most men realize how much of their character and personality is formed through negative conditioning. In other words, losing the approval of women. Throughout the boy's life as he's growing up, whenever he does something that the women don't approve of, they let him know in no uncertain terms through a form of emotional communication, disapproval by shunning him socially, by belittling and mocking him, by intimidating him for his behavior, telling him he'll be punished. So this is a constant process, okay, of breaking the boys of many of their natural inclinations. And what you're looking at is the stronger the male influence within the boy, the less likely he is to bow down to authority, the more the women are threatened and the more they're breaking him down. This is the attack on masculinity. So by the time he's a young man, he's already been conditioned to be a champion of the women. We need to remind him before it's too late to seek internal validation. You know how important this is. He has to find things in his life that are meaningful, that give his life purpose and meaning, and then pursue them in a moral and ethical way, not to be obsessed with the approval of other people. Moving on. Number 4, reminding the man that the state of affairs between men and women, it's not his fault. Women are treating men like garbage. The men have no value in a gynocentric state where the government supplies all of the resources and protection to the woman. The government is fulfilling the role in the relationship that the man used to fill. Therefore, the men have no value. Go through my comments section and you will see comments from some women who get offended by my videos, and they are brutal. They are savage. They are without restraint. They call me every dirty name in the book. A sailor would be ashamed of the way these women attack Howard Dare for putting out these videos. When the men are valued so low because the government is fulfilling their role, and the women, their behavior, back to number 5, growing up, all of their natural behavior is praised. So imagine what that does to someone's psyche. So by the time the woman is a young adult, the men have been broken down for 20 years, and the women have been built up for 20 years. You know that the wage gap is a myth, that women in their early 20s make more money than men in that age group. So use that to recognize that most of the attacks on men socially, they're not justified. They are a power play. That's all. It's not like, oh, this is a legitimate concern. And it's unfortunate because, where there are legitimate concerns, they are pushed aside for all of these false, trivial concerns so that they can be used to control the situation. It's very possible that a man could do everything that he was supposed to do and be in a really terrible position by the time he's 30, 40 years old. The men have to be made to realize that in most instances, the system is so much against them that there was no way they were going to come out of it looking good. Even Brad Pitt gets dragged through the mud. So you could be as good as Brad Pitt was, and you would still be hated and despised and called into question by a gynocentric society, a feminist-based society. They will still find fault with you. They will still condemn you. And the reason why is because it's not because of what you did. It's simply because it's a power play. They want to find fault with you, then they want to control the narrative. The men need to understand that. They're seeking external validation and approval from a group that's been using it to control their behavior and set up their character, and then they take responsibility for how things are when it's just a crooked game. Like, there's no way that you're winning that game, okay? It doesn't matter how you play. So understand that. Forgive yourself. Moving on. The number 3 way to help men. Help the men restore their physical health, their mental health, their relationship with themselves. You need to take care of yourself. You need to look after yourself. If you can have internal validation, this can help you find meaning in life, and then you're not subject to the manipulations of a corrupt system. Now you can start to rebuild your health. Now you can start to rebuild your psychological and emotional strength on the foundation of your own well-being. Not to impress a woman, not to give the little princess everything she wants, not to compete with the other men, but to have the things in your life that you find meaningful, to know that the majority of the world, they don't care about you. It's up to you. Now you can start to rebuild. That's your foundation. That's your base. Check out Elliot Holtz. Yo, Elliot. He just did a video giving a shout out to MGTOW. Now, let me tell you, before I even got into MGTOW videos about 4 years ago, guess who I was watching? That's right. Yo, Elliot. Because he's a physical expert. He turned me on to William Reich and Alexander Lowen. The idea that the emotional and psychological scars that we carry with us manifest themselves in our body. And it's so true. And that sometimes you can work physically through the body into these areas, and suddenly memories of the emotional state that caused the initial dropping of the shoulders or the lowering of the back return. And when the person can deal with the psychological, emotional aspects of the situation, the physical pain can then also be overcome. So look to someone like Elliot for physical therapy help, strength conditioning, male motivation. So it was very helpful to me, and it was great to see him, giving a shout out to MGTOW. Thank you, Elliot. Moving on. The number 2 way to help men is to help men make money in this day and age for themselves. This might be the most important, okay, because so much depends on this. You're not seeking money for its own sake. You're seeking meaning and purpose in life, the things that are important to you, and then you are monetizing them. You get good at them. You offer value with them. Now, I know this is so hard for the younger man to wrap his mind around because he's been conditioned to be a servant, to be a slave, to sacrifice in order to please women and strangers who don't even care about him when he could be a great man. So you see, this is the key, right? You see how these things are related. This is also where the men are under attack. This is the coup de grace. This is the final move of the attack on the man, is that he loses his job. Some of you don't even know how to psychologically process that. It means if you were an animal, it means you can't hunt here anymore, that you can go hunt in the desert, okay, where there's no food. This is being kicked out of the pride and being kicked out of the pride's feeding area, hunting area. If this can be done, chances are you won't make it. And this is the end goal of all the other steps that I was talking about. And that the young man, has been conditioned to sacrifice this. It's tragic. It is. I mean, can you fathom the idea of sending a young person to state education and then college education for 18, 20 years of their lives, and you don't even teach them how to make money? You don't even teach them how to show up to the job on time, how to be respectful to the people around them in the workplace. You don't even teach them that. You don't teach them that their end goal is then to go into business for themselves. That in this day and age, you don't want to work for someone else. It's fine to get started, but you can't stay there. You must leave that nest if you want financial independence. If you've got a really high-end job, that's a little different. But understand that the men are being driven out of all of the professions based on female complaints. So you see how all of this is tied together? So it's very important that you find the things that you want to do, that you're not listening to other people's negative opinions of you, and that you're pursuing them in a way that they actually give value to the world. And then you can create this positive feedback loop. So we in MGTOW need to remind the men that this is their goal. And I know that many of you are struggling against this. You won't take this responsibility. Understand that you have been conditioned to sacrifice to the group, to people who don't care about you, on the idea that the group will take care of you. But as a man, you have no inherent value to the group. You're not a woman, and you're not a child. So understand this, that was a trick. And so few do understand this. So when I suggest that a man should work for himself, you'd be amazed. 7 out of 10 men start attacking me. I would help every MGTOW man make $1 million if I could. Now, they would have to earn it themselves, but I want the opportunity to be there. Wouldn't that be great? Okay, moving on. The number 1 way to help men in this day and age, in an age of feminism and gynocentrism. Remind the man that it is not his job to save the women. It's not his job to be the perfect stud. It's not his job to save society. You want to know what your job is? Your job is to have a good life. That's all. And the people around you who will support you in that, those are your people. And the people around you who won't support you in that, get rid of them, get away from them, close them out, have as little to do with them as possible. It's not your job to save society. Considering all of these points, why do you think that men need to be reminded to not do these things? Because they will lead to the man's destruction. They will lead to him being a sacrificial animal. Why do we need to remind him? The reason why we need to remind him is because he has been conditioned to adopt this behavior. Every time he failed to adopt this behavior, he got negative reinforcement. He got insulted. He got belittled. He got shunned by the women, by the gynocentric system, by other men who serve the women. This is what I deal with on a regular daily basis. I post a video and men's rights activists or something like that, they're offended because I say women aren't the most important, perfect thing in the world. They're offended. Why is that? Why are they compelled? The reason why men need to be reminded of these things, sorry, I'm laughing, is because they've been conditioned and brainwashed to adopt these attitudes which actually lead to their own destruction and the ability of women, strangers, and the government to control and to lead the men. And they have no purpose, they have no meaning, they have no motivation in life. They don't even take care of themselves when this conditioning becomes too strong. So there you have it. My top 5 ways to help men. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been helping out over on PayPal and Patreon. And without your support, I won't be able to continue to put out my MGTOW videos. And I think it's a very important message. So if you agree, go ahead and visit me over there on PayPal. Maybe even check me out over on Patreon. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. So let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. And please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate. And join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.